Let's look at this versatile tool named Collection Manager. Collection Manager is an AR tool which is used for tracking, recording, and management of your unpaid or denied claims. The vital benefit of this tool is all your claims and AR activities remains within the system, and you do not have to download separate Excel AR reports to manage your unpaid claims. Collection Manager as a central system, it not only gives you access to all your critical patient and billing screens, but you can also review and also make updates to these screens as well as log your follow activity from this Collection Manager central screen. So let's take a look at this really powerful tool that's going to help you to vastly track and improve your insurance collections. Firstly, let's look at how you can go into the Collections Manager. So on the menu bar, you would have an option here for Collections Manager. Click on that to open up the Collections Manager screen. Now, once the screen opens up, at the top, you have these various filters that you could use for pulling any claims into the Collections Manager, which would be the claims to bring up any claims onto your work list. If you click on the More filters, it gives you additional filters that you can filter with. Now, typically, there are two categories of claims that get pulled into the Collections Manager. One is the claims over a payer response limit threshold, and the other is the denial. So any claim that's denied and is in an insurance status, remains in an insurance status after denial is posted, gets pulled into the Collections Manager. Also, claims over a payer response limit threshold also get pulled into the Collections Manager. Now, the claims over payer response limit threshold means that for every insurance that is in the system, you can set a threshold limit. You can set the number of days before which the claim gets pulled into the Collections Manager. So even after that threshold number of days, if the claim is still unpaid in the system, it pushes it to the Collections Manager or into your Collections Manager work list. There are two levels of threshold limits that you can set. You can set a global threshold limit, which is under billing options, and there is an individual insurance threshold limit, which can be set at the insurance company level. We will be discussing how these threshold limits in the administrator portion of the webinar. Now, the other thing about the Collections Manager is that any claim that gets pulled into the Collections Manager will come in with a new status. So you can see that the default filter here is for new. So any claim that's denied and posted and still in insurance status, or any claims that are over the payer limit threshold, will get pulled in here into the work list with a new collection status. After the claim gets pulled here on the screen, you can work this claim and you can move it to another status. And you can build your own status list and even your own collection sub-status list. And these can be added from the claims lookups, which is under the billing, which is the billing lookups under the advanced setup lookups. And this is again something that we would discuss in the administrator portion of the Collection Manager webinar. So you can create your own statuses and sub-statuses based on how you want the work to be organized, or you can have your own list of statuses on how you prefer the claims to work and managed. So there are various filters that you could use for bringing up the claims. Of course, you can use the denial category. If it's a denial code, you can just type in the denial code. It'll give you from the list of denial codes. Or you can also select from a no response category, which is any claims that's over the payer limit threshold will pull in as a no response. The other filters that you can use here are if you want to use by date of service, age between, or date between, you can also use that. Similarly, there is LCD for last claim date or LFD for last follow-up date for any claims that have been previously followed up. If you want to pull them on this list, you can also use the LFD. You also have legal entity, which is for billing entity, provider. If you want to pull up a particular patient's claim, you can also select patient. Now, do remember, as I do note, as I mentioned, you would it would only pull the claims that are either over the payer response limit threshold. So if it fulfills that threshold, then it shows up on this collections manager, or it would pull if it has been denied and still sitting in the insurance status. Now, if you want all claims, irrespective of whether they have been over the response limit threshold or the denied, you still want it to be pulled onto the collections list, you can click on the all open lines. When you select the all open lines, everything that is open, every insurance claim that is open will pull up into the collections manager. Now, Collections Manager is an insurance AR management tool, so it just only brings over anything which is sitting in the insurance balance. If there is anything with the patient balance, it does not bring it over into the Collections Manager. So I'm going to try to pull a work list here. So I'm going to hit the all option for the denials and claims over payer limit threshold, and I'm going to hit search, and it brings up the list of claims or my work list. So these are all my claims that are in the new status. So once the work list is displayed, you can see it shows the number of, or it shows a category, the code. But if it's a denial, you can see a denial code, a description for it. If it's a no response, you will see the no response. The no response, of course, are the claims over the response limit threshold. And the denied are any claims that have a denial posted. Show you the number of claims, number of lines, the billed amount remaining, and what percentage of this out of the total is from this category. And it also shows you the average date of service, average LCD, which is last claim date, and average LFD, last follow-up date. These are new claims, so typically they would not have may not have a follow-up date on them. So once the claims get listed and you click on it, or your work list populates, you click on it on the category, and it shows you the claims that are in that category. So either you click on the denial category or the no response category. And you would see at the bottom, it shows you the list of claims. It has got, when it populates the list, it's got the patient's name, the claim number, the collection status, the date of service, shows you the insurance case type, insurance billed. If there's any previous payments, it'll also show that remaining. And it also gives you a red highlight on the date of service. So if the date of service is over 45 plus days, you can see that it's got a red highlight. Otherwise, it will show the color that's displayed on this legend. You can also see age since first follow-up and age since last follow-up. So once the claims get listed, you can click on the record number, and that will open up into the denials workshop screen. So you can see it opened up into the denial workshop screen. Once it brings up on the denial workshop, at the top, you can primarily see all the patient details like the policy information. You can see the insurance, the policy number, what category of denial this is under, or no response category. It also shows you all pertinent information that you would need when you contact the insurance, like date of birth, the tax ID, NPI, insurance address, or service location, and other rendering provider information as well. It'll also show you the line level information, the CPT, the line which is actually unpaid or denied. It'll display that line here. On the left-hand side, you have got this different options to open up the demographics. The first one opens up into the patient demographics page. Opened up the demographics for you. It'll open up the demographics screen for you. So you can look at the patient's info. Next, if you click on the case, it'll open up the case. If you click on the insurance, it'll open up the insurance, patient's insurance screen. Similarly, if you want to go to the charge screen, you can click on the charge master. It'll open up the edit charges screen for you. And you can also access an appeal letter. Similarly, ledger, eligibility, and document management. If you have any documents uploaded into the patient's document management screen, you can also access that documents from here. On the central section, you can see the line activities. So it shows you all the activities. You also have denial history tab, which you can see if there is any previous denial posted for this claim, you would see it on the denial history. If any previous follow-up was made for this claim, you can see it on the follow-up history. And there's a claim status history tab where you can see all the claims, previous submission, and their responses. If the clearinghouse, if there's a response, accepted or rejected response, you can see it on the claim status history tab. To the right, this is where you can record the follow-up activity. So you can, whatever activity that you want to record, whether you call the insurance or identified and want to note that activity, you can put it into this follow-up history note. So let's say if I call the insurance founder, this claim is in process. I want to add that note, so I can add that note there. I can also enter a tickler for remind me in, let's say, 20 days, for example. So I can put a tickler here for 20 days reminder, this claim will pull up on the collections manager with the checkbox. There's a checkbox at the collections manager main screen where the work list is displayed. There's a checkbox for show reminders. So any claims that have reminders attached to them, when you check that box and run the list, it'll show you the claims with the reminders. Then there is a create action item 4. Now, if you want any particular user within the system to receive a task, you can actually create the task for the user. So you can select the user, put an action note in, saying, for example, send out or fax claim form to the insurance. So let's say I put this action note, and I'll show it to you in just a moment where you would see this task being created. So it'll show up on the home page. There's a task for this user. When this user logs in, I assigned it to my user. So whichever user that you select here, that user's to-do list will show this particular task. The next is the status, and you can see the status is new. So any claim that gets pushed into the collections manager will come in with a new status. Now, you cannot leave it on the new status, so you'll have to select here and change it to a different status. So either you can create your own statuses from the status list under the lookups, and you would see those status there, and you can select that status, or you can select the status, or you can put it to any of the existing statuses. So here I'm going to select this into claim in process status, and you can also select a substatus if necessary, or you can even leave the substatus blank. But status is a mandatory field, so you need to select the status, and you cannot leave it on the new. But the substatus is optional. It's not necessary you need to select anything on the substatus. However, I would always recommend that you use the status and the substatus combination. So you can have statuses which are denied, paid, claim in process. So these can be your statuses, whereas your substatuses could be something like, if it's denial, you can actually have the reasons there, like max benefits exhausted, or you could have denied for modifier, or any of those denials can be listed in the substatus list, whereas in the status list you can have the main status, or whether it was denied or paid or claim in process, you can have that as the main statuses. But it's all up to you how you want to kind of classify the status or substatus. There's no hard and fast rule. It's all up to you how you want to organize these work lists within the collections manager. You have the full flexibility on how you want to set up the statuses or substatuses. Now, you also have other options here, which is you can rebill and batch, or hit the rebill button to have the claims rebuild from here, or you can just save the note. Now, there's a checkbox apply to all claims in this category. Now, let's say whatever action that I do here, and after I enter the note, whatever action I do here, like maybe I just hit the save or I hit the rebill, this action would record on all claims in this category. Now, this claim or this category that I clicked on, you can see there are 85 claims in that category. So there's 85 claims there. All those 85 claims, the same note and same activity will record in all that 85 claims. So you may want to use this category if you want to do an activity like there might be for example, let's say a payer ID problem. And so you fix a payer ID for all those claims in that insurance, or you have fixed a payer ID in the insurance setup. Now you want to apply all the claims, like you have put in your note in, you want to have the rebill done for all those claims. So you can, in that instances, you can check this box. So if this activity or this action that you're performing, if you want it applied to all claims in that category, you can check that box. Now, one thing I did not mention clearly maybe is that the create action item for and action node are optional fields. It's not necessary you need to do this step. You can actually skip these fields. The action item and action node can be completely skipped. If you need to only use this field if you need to create an action item, which is a to-do item for a particular user. If you do not want to create this as a to-do and just leave it on the collections manager, or you don't want to create a task for a user, you just leave it blank on these fields. So from here, if you want to rebuild, you can hit rebuild or just hit save to have this saved. Also at the top here, you can see there's a pair remark. If you at any point of time to look at the pair remarks, you can click here to see or view the pair remark or add a remark. I'll just hit save and that'll save that note. So previously there were 85 claims in this category. Now you can see there are only 84 claims because I added a note for that claim and put that status out of the new status. So now it's moved from the new status to the claim in process status. That's the status that I selected for that claim. Now, if I search this claim here in the search list for claim in process, I'm going to hit the search. So it might not come up here because remember when I was entering the note, I checked the box I added a reminder, a tickler for it. So I would need to check this box if I need to pull up this claim. So I'll hit show reminders, hit search, and you can see that claim came up on my list. So now if I need to go back to this claim and change anything or add a new note, I can add a new note here. Now you can see in the follow-up history, I entered a note in here. That note now shows up in the follow-up history. Any notes that you add from here will also show up in the line activities. So you can see it also shows up in the line activity. So which means that if you are in the edit charges screen or look up from the ledger, if you look at the line activity, you would be able to see this note in the activity. Now there's also one important thing, which is at the very top, you see the claim number. If you click on the claim number, it will actually show you that claim in a claim form format. So you can see that claim shows up in a claim form format. So if you click on the claim number at the top, it'll also show you the claim in that format. Now, the other beauty of the collections manager is that you can see all the activities. As I showed, that activity gets recorded in the charge master screen, but also this activity gets recorded in several of the AR reports as well as some billing reports as well. So let me take you now out of the collections manager into the report central. In the report central, the first report I want to show you through is the G3, which is a collector report. The G3 report records all activities that were made through collections manager. And you can run it with a collector activity date, or you can use specific users. You can select specific users to look at their activities, or you can run by collection status and collection substatus, or a combination of these filters. So I'll just run this search and you can see that it shows all these collection activities. You would also see the one that I entered today shows up on this list in this collector activity list. So you can run this report to see all the collection activities for a date range or use any of these filters. You can also export it to Excel or PDF. The next report is a collector work list. So typically, if you want to see all the claims that get pulled into the collections manager, if you want that in an Excel, you can actually use the same filters that you have on the collections manager, run the search, and once it gets listed here, you can export that into a work list. An Excel, the work list can be exported into an Excel format if you need that work list in an Excel. So you have all the same filters that you saw on the collection manager screen. You have it on this report central, this collector work list report, and you can use the parameters to find the claims that you would also see on the collections manager. And if you wanted to export it to Excel, you have the Excel option here to export it. Now, anything that you record from the collections manager will also show up in some AR reports. Like for example, the detailed insurance aging report. If you run this report, this shows you all your insurance outstanding claims And you can use the filters, and you can also use collection status or substatus filters as well. And once you run the search, I'll do an all insurance checkbox. And once you run the search, you can see there is a column here, which is to show you the last follow-up date and activity, the note, and you would see that it would show the activities. If for any claims or lines that the activity was recorded, it'll show it in this report. Now, if you don't want this activity to show up, or you want to exclude that activity, you can always use exclude user activity. So all your outstanding claims, you would typically be able to see what previous follow-ups were done for them, what was a note that was entered, when it was entered, and typically who entered it as well. And also, you would be able to identify claims that a previous unpaid claim, that is, or a claim that is on the insurance AR list, which you have not even previously followed up on. Of course, this detailed insurance aging report can be exported to Excel format. There are two Excel, and there's a PDF format as well. Also, there is the report number I8, which is the summary and counter line activities report, which also shows the activities. So if you go to the summary and counter line activities report, which is I8, this also captures the activities that were done through the report central. So I'll just pull by the charge accounting date, the charge entered date, or you can use the date of service to run the list. And it also has the collection status, substatus, last follow date and note. Is also part of this report central report, which you can see if any previous activities were recorded, you would be able to see it on that column. And this report can also be exported to Excel, 3 Excel options, and there's also a PDF option that you can export it to. So those were some reports that would capture the activities, but also for your AR management, there are some reports that you can run to see all the AR. So one we already went through that, which is D2, shows you the detailed insurance aging reports, all your insurance claims that are outstanding. It shows you the details, the complete patient and claim details of those claims. But if you want just like a summary, not a detail, you just want a summary of by the insurance, just by the payer, you can see it shows a summary of it. And you've got 2 tabs here, which is aging summary and AR aging bucket. And you can also see it with the aging bucket. So it says the AR, the summary insurance aging report, which is D1. And some other reports that you can also look at is the AR aging summary, D6. This gives you just by the insurance versus the patient and what percentage of that is in each of the buckets, which is the aging buckets. This is also a pretty good report to look at. But if you are looking for details, you have, if you want to look by patient, for example, patient insurance balance and aging by patient report, you can put the dot on all so that it shows both insurance and patient. And if you just want for patient, here you can just select the dot on the patient, but I will put the dot on all, so because I want both insurance and patient. And you can see it shows all the by patient, it shows the balances and what they fall, which bucket, aging bucket they fall under. Also, there are some other reports as well that you can run, which is on the D section, which is to track and manage your AR. So you can also run report like the AR aged AR by insurance and patient, or aged AR insurance and patient by payer report. There are also these 2 other reports that you could run to see your insurance or your patient AR and whether they're sitting under which category as well, which bucket. You can see that if it's under patient, it'll show what is the amount sitting under patient. And if it's insurance, it shows which insurance and what's that amount sitting under and which aging bucket it is also under. The patient has both insurance and patient AR. You would see that it shows both those under each of those patients. So this is another report useful report that you can run as well. These are some of the reports, but there are also other reports in the report central, which is under the section D, which you can run to see all the AR data, the outstanding AR. Both summary of the reports are also there, and also there are detailed reports that you can run. So that was all about the collections manager and some of the AR reports that you can run from the system.